Today I want to apologize. I want to apologize for you not being heard, not being seen, and not being acknowledged for who you are. I'm sorry that we haven't seen your pain, your frustration, your hurt. I'm sorry that we just walked over you and haven't really stopped and listened carefully on your story, on how you feel. There are many people out there who believe that when you have done the healing that, or when you have worked on yourself and you have done this inner journey, that you're kind of able to navigate through your emotion and never have any outbursts anymore, or never react in a kind of a weird way. I believe that is totally wrong. I believe there is so much thing going on behind the scene that I really want to share today. So please do take my apology for your pain and for you not being heard, because I have for sure done this to other people. And you know what? We have to be very real. You may have as well done this. But it's the time to wake up, to not do this anymore, to understand that there are certain things that we need to change, okay? If you're new here, if we meet the first time, my name is Patricia. Thanks so much for taking your time and showing up for yourself and learning a bit more about yourself. Don't forget to like this video, to share this video, and to comment. Make a comment is always super nice to me to read, and also for other people to see where we are and where we stand in life, right? So with this said, let's start into today's video. We want to talk a little bit about what happens when we get ashamed for our outbursts, right? So let me go a little bit deeper on this one, because I find there are so many rules on how to behave, how not to behave, how to be and look normal. And you see, there are actually quite responses that are natural and that are healthy and that help us to direct in the right way, in the right direction. And we still shame people who have an anger against something, because we don't see their story. What we see is their anger. We see that this is making us uncomfortable. We see that the way how they react makes us feel shrink maybe. And we don't really want to take responsibility for how someone else feels. Now, obviously, we cannot really control how someone else reacts, right? But we can certainly check in for what we give out, right? Was this in the kindest possible way? Was this in the best interest for myself and for the other person, right? Understanding your boundaries also means that when someone is crossing your boundary, for example, kind of making this emotional abuse, that we are allowed to react. What would that be in a healthy way, where you would say, oh, you cannot have any anger anymore. You shouldn't have this. You should just communicate and be okay with whatever is presented to you. What is that all about? Of course you're upset when someone is crossing your boundary over and over again, and you're like, hey, what the hell? What's going on? Why don't you see that you are hurting me and I'm not okay with that? You see, the first few times you may actually react quite casual, but then at one point you get really upset, you get really angry. What on this is not okay? There is nothing, you see? It's about sometimes seeing as well that the story that is behind it is very much okay to actually react that way you just did. or you just have, right? And I feel like there are so many people out there who point the finger to someone who has actually their who is reactive, right? Who is responding to something that they feel frustrated about. And it's kind of like, why do we point fingers to the person who is frustrated? Instead, look about what made her or him that way to feel, right? Why is that person feeling that way? And if you're saying now, well, this person just has a very slow stress tolerance or whatsoever, and then you're like, well, really? Really? You see, really? Wouldn't you be frustrated if blah blah blah, if you would know the full story, maybe? And isn't that also about how we treat people? To not make them feel that way? You see? Isn't this also about something, the way how we communicate, where we need to take responsibility on what we are giving out, what we are receiving, right? You see, you can work on yourself as long as you want, but if you haven't seen that there are people out there who are not really aware of what they're giving out, you will come to this point where you do have your outbursts, where you feel frustration. And what is wrong about frustration? There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with being frustrated over a situation, or being angry maybe, or having your sad moments, you see? What is not normal about that if you have a story that makes you feel that way? Why wouldn't that be okay? Of course it is. Of course it is. But we try to numb ourselves because it's not likely to seen in our society, right? Now here in Switzerland, people believe kind of thing like the more we have outbursts and the more we are getting upset or angry or whatsoever, those harsh emotions, right? People have no idea how to stand in front of a person like this. They have no clue. Now maybe in your country the same way, but here it is kind of like, if you are reacting or responding in a quite in a emotional intensity, right? It's not likely to be seen as good behavior. It looks as like you're a problem and you need to go to a specialist and get help. While I believe actually we should look into what brought you into this situation. We should take responsibility for what we are giving out. I seriously mean that. I mean, when you have been ignored all your life in childhood, and at one point you are getting or you are having your outbursts, and this is a true story by the way, and you're having your outbursts and you're communicating that this is not the way how you want to be treated, because you don't like when you are constantly ignored and there is no conversation and there is nothing going on and you are having your outbursts. See, this is a natural and absolutely healthy reaction to the whole situation, and that you are then looked at as something is wrong with you is actually very interesting. You try to put the problem to the other desk, while I don't have to, at this moment, to work on myself. I don't have to do that. The reason is very, very simple. It's like the behavior you have at this moment by constantly ignoring me and not taking myself into accountability and into a place where you do want to talk and you are ready to actually make a conversation about what has happened. Why is that person over here not being judged for what they're doing, right? Now, I'm not saying, hey, go and judge over there, but I'm saying, why is only the person who is reacting a certain way in a heavy sense, right? I mean, for people, why is that looked as something is wrong? Why isn't it looked at, hey, this person is reacting that way, I totally get it. because we make our assumption of the whole story before we even know the story. We have an assumption in mind and we project that this person, why are they even going there? Why are they reacting this way? I mean, look at them, they must be happy, blah, blah, blah. They shouldn't be like this and shouldn't be like that. And the shame and the guilt starts going on. But truly, we have no clue. We have no idea. No, we don't know, right? We don't know. And so this message of this video is really about, hey, look into your life. Where do you give out something that is painful for other people, and so that they kind of feel not acknowledged or not seen, not heard for who they are. You see, you're not only doing this for them, you're also doing it for yourself, because what we know, right, is we attract who we are. And so if you are trying to not be nice, not be kind whatsoever, and all of that, I mean, somehow it is coming back. I have seen this so many times, and this is not really about karma. This is about how you show up in life, right? I have been getting so much help lately where I'm like, I'm really impressed like how this whole thing works. And I'm just like, wow, like I have lived so long in a kind of a cave and in a darkness. And now I can actually see that things are changing like very, very much. And so I'm meeting people that are very kind and are very open to talk, and so totally different to what I'm used to, right? Where people would just shut down and I would be left alone with all my emotions. And I was like, well, can't we just discuss? And somehow this was like my whole story from my childhood, right? Where I was left alone with my own emotions because there was no one I could really talk to. And so I want to tell you that sometimes those emotions are quite natural, and they are very, very much healthy. And it's for you a sign, hey, I need to change my direction here. I need to make an effort to make this right somehow, right? And however that may look like, maybe you search for a conversation, maybe you step away from that person, maybe you start to see someone, right? I mean, however you wanna do it, but sometimes it's important to know that it's not always your fault, and it's not always about, hey, you're reacting wrong. Your body knows exactly how it needs to respond, right? And if you have reached a threshold where you are constantly angry, then that would be definitely the point where, okay, you gotta need to work on yourself. But you see, if this is happening once or twice, I don't know, that's not something where you can really say, oh, something is wrong with me. You gotta look into the full picture, and you gotta understand that maybe this is actually okay, and it's a warning sign to them, but also to myself, so that I can work on this, but not in a sense I'm broken, but in a sense, okay, we need to change something. And how can we do that, right? I would actually love to hear your thoughts about this. Have you experienced that? If so, please let me know in the comment section. And also don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And with this said, thank you so much for being here with me, having or taking the time, and I see you soon.